All right, welcome to Mitch and Maeli Live. It's Mitch Live today because Maeli is actually on the Everyday Woman podcast right now as we speak. And so we are dividing and conquering, but no worries because we have an incredible guest speaker that we want to share with you today. A relationship that I have had for years, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to talk a little bit about that. But my goodness, you guys are in for a treat today. Now, before we get into that, I've got a few announcements. It's holiday season, and we are having our holiday party this Friday, and all of your beautiful faces are invited. We're going to be having some music. Maeli has convinced me to be the entertainment for the night, so you guys are going to hear my piano and singing chops a little bit. We're going to have some food. We're going to have some caroling and some white elephant gifts, and it's going to be awesome. A little bit of training, but we're going to keep it mostly fun. So we want all of you to join us at our home. If you have not received a formal invitation for that, reach out to me because it wasn't. It definitely was by oversight. So reach out to me. Y'all are invited. Now, with that said, we had an awesome every holiday season and really throughout the year. But we really like to focus on the holiday season. We do some sort of charitable thing under the Flipping with Mitch and Maeli umbrella. This year we got to pick a family and team up with Little Miracles, who is just an absolute amazing organization. We're so impressed with them. But Little Miracles finds families that are in need. And this year we got to work with the Bowman family out in West Valley, Utah. And parents are in their 20s. The dad passed away shortly before Thanksgiving in an automobile accident by an underinsured driver. And the mom and 3 kids were left with nothing. And we got to take a full day last Saturday, go in with a huge team of people, and completely remodel their house. We brought in, we painted, we fixed things, we added new light fixtures. I got to build a mantle on their fireplace, and we brought in Christmas trees and Christmas presents and furniture. It was a really incredible thing, and a lot of you teamed up to make that happen. It absolutely, if it was just me and Maeli doing it, we couldn't have made a dent in what we were able to give this family. So, just to name a few, Allison and Jeremy Chavez, you guys contributed to that. Scott and Alicia Green, you guys contributed to that. Thank you so much for your donation there. Shantae, who is a new member of our team who will be joining us this week. Shantae Johnson was able to help with that. Blythe and Mahea Eddy, Mahana Bradley, Sammy Fernandez, Mike Villa, Tamara and Kevin Hamblin, Steven Stockseth, just to name a few. Guys, if you contributed to this, thank you so much. We actually were able to document it, so we've got an episode dropping on our YouTube channel. Hopefully this Friday. That's the goal. We're gonna be dropping a very heartfelt, tear-jerking episode of Flipping with Mitch and Maeli about the Bowman family and the impact that we all as a community got to have on them this holiday season. So be sure to check that out. So if you're not already subscribed to the channel, jump in there, Flipping with Mitch and Maeli, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell so you get notified when that drops. Now, with that said, we will be back next week and we'll be back the following week. After that, it's Christmas. And we're going to take off the week between Christmas and New Year's. So we won't be here on December the 27th, but we will be back for the New Year on January the 3rd. So we've got some amazing things planned for you between now and then. So make sure you stay tuned. And this week, guys, is no exception. We have an awesome guest speaker who I've had the chance, I've had, interactions with this guy since before I even knew that real estate investing was a thing. We lived in the same neighborhood and got to hang out a little bit, and I think we still own rentals in the same complex. Eventually, he teamed up with us in Renatus, and we started working together, and just our paths just continue to cross, and I'm so grateful for that because Mike Kessler is an awesome individual and someone that you want to stay friends with your entire life. He's a wealth of knowledge. He's just an all-around good human. And he's here to talk to us today about his journey and his experience and impart some of the knowledge that he's gained. He's been investing for 18 years, which means he started investing when he was 6 years old. That's nuts. But he's done some incredible things. He's done over 350 transactions in his career. So this guy has some experience, has some stuff he wants to share with us, and he's come up with a really cool product that I know I'm not going to steal his thunder, but he's come up with a really cool product that solves a problem that every fix and flipper has, and I'm so excited for him to share some details and some information around that. And most importantly to him, it was interesting as I was kind of like probing him for bullet points to introduce him with. I was like, tell me about how many years you've been in real estate and how many deals you've done, and he's like, well, wait a second, I want to talk about my family. Mike, first and foremost, is a family man. He's been married to Brittany for 18 years. He has 5 beautiful children, and he's a believer in generational wealth. He's taken what he's learned in real estate investing, and he's passed that on to his kids. And honestly, I feel like that's what I want to do with my kids. To me, more importantly than passing on some amount of money or stuff to them, is the knowledge that I can impart that will set them up and set their children up for a life of success. And he's done that. His oldest 3 children already own their own properties. So I'm not going to take any more of his thunder. I'm going to let him, thunder away. And with that said, I'm looking off into the distance here so I can add him to our spotlight. With that said, I'm going to bring Mike Kessler out. Mike, how you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for having me, Mitch. This is awesome.
It's so great to have you on the call. I'm grateful to have you here today. When I first got to know you, I was selling websites during the day.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was working at the Apple Store at night. I was broke as a joke, and I had no idea. I think you were one of the first people to ever enter my life that made me kind of think, wait a second, what is real estate investing? Like,
Yeah.
what is this thing, and how can I get involved in it? And of course, that influence led me to study real estate investing and get educated, and now I enjoy a successful career as a real estate investor. I mean, not to say you know as well as I do, it has its ups and downs, right? But I think for the most part, real
For
estate
sure.
has been an incredible blessing in my life. And you were kind of you were there. You were one of the first sparks in that fire. So I got to thank you for that, and I got to thank you publicly for that.
You're welcome.
But then it was interesting to kind of see because I went through a divorce and moved away, and then
Yeah.
we ended up
I remember
crossing
that.
paths again, and now recently we've re-engaged each other.
Yep.
I'm just grateful to have you here, man.
Well, thank you. No, this is cool, and I love what you've done here. You're getting your influence out because, guys, honestly, I've followed Mitch for many, many years. Worked with Mitch. He's a fantastic guy, so I'm happy to be here and
Thank you.
share what I know with people that are looking to grow and learn, build their own businesses. Because I'm going to be sharing super transparent stuff. So you guys are going to love tonight.
That's cool. Well, the time is yours, my friend. Take it away.
Awesome. Well, second thing I wanted to share, Mitch, is I'm impressed, man. I had no idea you did that for that family. That is awesome. My wife and I, we started a fundraising project. It was 5 years. This is our 5th year. We call it the Pumpkin Pie Project. And the Kessler family, we love to make pumpkin pies. And so we make hundreds and hundreds of pies. We sell them. We donate the money to charities and stuff that we've done different charities over the years. And so, I mean, hats off to you. I had no idea that you did that this year for that family.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it was fun, and couldn't have done it without the community support. So, I mean, while Maeli and I are the kind of tend to be kind of the face of what we're doing, we're definitely the backbone comes from the community. So
Yeah, that's
it's a
awesome.
good
I
thing to be
love it.
doing.
I love that you guys all, yeah, stepped in and worked together on this. And then one other thing that you brought up is I love passing on the knowledge. This is one thing that all of us get to dream about, if not already doing. And hats off to you if you are, because not many parents nowadays are taking the time to slow down their own life to teach their kids important skills these days. I'm a young men's leader. I'm actually in scouting still, and I still see young men growing up in this age and young women not learning enough skills and life lessons that need to be passed on from our generation to them. And one of the things that I love doing is I love teaching my kids. So my 3 older kids that Mitch mentioned, they own their own houses. My oldest is 14. Excuse me, she just turned 15. I have to remember to say that. And then I have a 12-year-old and then I have a 10-year-old. So those 3 kids each own their own property, and then they receive a cash flow on those properties. we were actually at one of the properties this last Saturday, just a few days ago, and I was teaching my kids how to do electrical work. We took off all the plugs and switches. We were changing out light fixtures. And so I was teaching them, the skills of how to remodel, rehab houses so that they can, use those lifelong skills in their own personal lives later on. So it's been a passion of mine to be able to teach my kids how to, invest and learn and grow in this business. One of the things I've been doing, my oldest daughter, she's owned her house. It'll be going on 5 years this year. And she's been doing the accounting on those properties every year, year after year for the last 5 years. And every year we go through the books, we go through returns on investment. I teach them, the concepts of, here's how much cash we invested. Here's our cash on cash return. Here's our, return on the investment for the annualized return. And so they're learning these concepts that you don't learn in school. And so it's up to us as parents to take the responsibility to do those for our kids. So I don't know, it's some things that I feel very passionate about and glad I can share. Okay, so I've got a presentation I wanted to share with you guys. Can you guys see my screen right now? If I can get some thumbs up or some
we can see it.
nods. Awesome. Okay, perfect. All right, so I own these two companies, Access Homebuyers and Tub Armor. Access Homebuyers has been in business for 5 or 6 years. It's a DBA of my parent business, which has been in around since 2009. That's when I established my first LLC business. So I started investing in 2005. I bought my first place, my first rental, 2005. So that means I was investing for 4 years without an LLC, without a business, without nothing. Like, I had no idea what I was doing, right? We're all just trying to figure this out as you go. I established my first entity in 2009, and then I've now established lots and lots of entities since then, just because you learn and grow in this business and understand how to actually operate it. I flipped hundreds of houses, wholesaled the last 4 or 5 years, not the last year, but prior to that, about 4.5 years, I was a full-time wholesaler where I was just learning the art of just finding discounted properties. It was a passion of mine to just learn how to create those. And later on in this presentation, I'm going to show you how each of these are discounted properties, as well as, there's huge equity gains. I'm going to show you guys how we're doing this. We've been able to build a huge portfolio of individual rentals. There's a few multifamilies mixed in with those, but they're all cash flowing, every one of them, and very, very healthy properties. I've built lots of new construction. My dad was a general contractor, so I grew up in the building industry. I'm a really good contractor. I'm really good with my hands, but I wasn't so good with this when I first started. It's taken a lot of years to learn and grow in this business, and now understand, that now we're really growing now. I'm going to show you on the next slide. My life story literally wasn't this. This is after a lot of years of making tons of mistakes, tons of problems. I mean, huge amounts of holes that I had to dig myself out of. So I'm going to share with you some of those. I'm a part owner of an assisted living facility, and I'm in the process of finishing up a small development right now, and I'll be selling that development early next spring. I just hired the contractor to do all the utility improvements. They're putting in the curb and gutter, the sidewalk, everything, and we're starting to get into more development stuff right now. We own some multifamily and other businesses as well. But I'm going to tell you guys, it wasn't always like this. In 2010, if you guys remember, 2008 was kind of like the peak of the market, and that's when it crashed. I was doing mortgage lending back then for a company, and literally in 2010, I was broke. I had a wife, 2 kids, a mortgage, and literally we were $120K in debt. Like, I didn't know how to change when the market changed. I was such a new investor. I had no idea what I was doing. So literally, I was just doing side jobs just to stay afloat. And it was financially the hardest time my family and I have ever been in. It was so challenging. It was November. I remember November 1st of 2010. I didn't have the money to pay our mortgage payment, and I was scared. I had no idea what I was doing. And but working hard. You can see on my slide here that, May of 2011, I decided to go and work for a company because I just couldn't make it work. I couldn't make my own business work anymore. So I went full time, worked for a company. Luckily, it was in the same industry. I actually learned how to coach and to train and help other people in the real estate business underneath their business, right? So they paid me a salary. I worked for them for a few years. You can see I quit that full-time work in December of 2014. So 3.5 years, I worked full-time, but in between that, I was working 2 other jobs. I still had my real estate business, and I also created a business, actually a printing business. So I was a print broker, and between all of that work, I worked my butt off for 3.5 years. I was able to quit. I paid off 120K in debt. I was back out on my own, debt free, except for just my personal property. All of our cars were paid off, all my loans, everything was paid off because we just busted our butt and we just worked hard. And so I'm going to share with you guys how it all started, because truthfully, my real estate journey, even though I bought my first place in 2010, but my growth really started at 2015. And I'm going to share with you what started from there. And truthfully, this is where it started. Just crazy. I started doing mobile homes. I learned from a friend how to flip mobile homes and fix and flips, wholesaling, and we've done hundreds of them. I mean, we've just done tons and tons of mobile homes. But I'm going to share with you how this strategy is amazing to create quick cash as well as long-term cash flow from it. Now, in the slides I've got, I'm only going to share with you 2 examples of mobile homes because I'm not doing as many nowadays. Although this mobile home, literally, that I'm showing you right now, I just sold it a week ago, last week. And I sold it as is. I didn't even touch it. I got the contract. I wholesaled it. I sold it to another buyer literally just last week. I'll show you the contracts, the paperwork and everything. But this is where I started. So I'm going to share with you, there's a surprise on this mobile home. It looks like a nice house, right, from the outside. But when you go inside, look at it. Look at these pictures. This is literally what the home looked like a week and a half ago.
Oh my gosh.
It literally is a hoarder house. They couldn't use the kitchen. They haven't used the kitchen in over a year. I mean, it was amazing how much stuff was in this house. And I felt so badly there was 3 people living in here. And as of 2 weeks ago, they were living in this house. And just amazing what they were doing. But just such a nice lady. Her husband and one of her sons was living here in the home. And I don't know how. I don't know where they ate. I don't know where they cooked. I didn't ask some of those questions, but they were just such nice people. But luckily, they were able to buy a new home. They moved out a couple weeks ago, left this behind, and we were able to help them out. But I'm going to show you how cool this transaction is. Another investor had this property under contract and backed out. But I'm going to show you how we made some quick cash on this. I mean, look at these pictures. This is the master bedroom. I couldn't even walk in that master bedroom, the picture on the left. And then there's a whole master bathroom. I never even saw it. I had no idea. Never even saw it. And then this is the husband there on the right. That's where they lived. I mean, just crazy. So here's how I put this deal together, okay? When you're wholesaling houses, the number one thing, and I did this full time for about 4.5 years. The number one thing you have to know before you get into wholesaling, you got to know what your buyers want, okay? So I walked into this house, most people are going to say, holy crap, how do I do this? This is nuts, right? I mean, there's so much stuff in this house. You didn't even see the floor. The floor on this house was sopping wet, the entire house. And so it stunk. It was like the floor was caving in between each floor joist. It needs a lot of work, okay? But what's important is you got to understand what your buyers want, okay? Now, because I've been in the wholesaling business and I've sold lots and lots of properties, I have a good list of buyers, and I have a good solid list of people who want these types of properties. Now, I actually was planning on flipping this house because I am flipping a few houses right now. It's not my main business, but I do have a few on the side. I was planning on doing this one, but after looking at our whole company, I'm like, you know what? I really just don't want to take on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and sell this one. So first of all, I knew what my buyers wanted, and I knew what price that they can pay for a house like this. I've sold lots of these types of homes. I know what they can sell retail. I know what they can sell wholesale, and I know what kind of rehab it's going to take approximately. And so then I find out, okay, what are they willing to pay? And do they have cash, right? Those are the questions you got to ask your buyers. So what I did, before I finish up this example, I'm going to share with you my very, very first mobile home, and it follows this exact same pattern. Okay, this deal I did, I think I put some dates on here. No, I don't have any dates on here, but this is my very first mobile home, and I followed the same pattern on how to put this deal together. I bought this house, very first deal, I don't know, 10 to 12, 13 years ago, something like that, a long time ago. I don't remember exactly. Oh, you can see it in my ad. This is my KSL or Facebook ad right here. And it says May of 2010 right there. The residents are moving out May of 2010. That's how I put this deal together. And that's the exact phone number of the seller that I bought it from. So they had a for sale by owner sign. I drove by, I called it up and said, guys, I don't have the cash to buy it, but I know I could put this deal together with you. Tell me your situation. They wanted like $4,200 for this house, this manufactured home. And I said, guys, let's do it. I put it under contract first, okay? But before I closed on it, what did I do? I found my buyers. So I put this ad out before I even bought the property. I said, rent this home for 3 years and you can buy it for $1. No joke. Guys, I have sold probably 100 mobile homes this same way since then. And it works really well. I do it for 30 years now. So buy this manufactured home for 30 years and buy it for $1. No joke. I still do this and it works beautifully. In fact, I'm selling 2 right now this exact same way. One of them's for $60,000. The other one's going to be for about $55,000. These are old mobile homes just like this. We've got them fixed up pretty well. And but with that, guys, at one point in time, I don't right now because I've had a handful of people pay off in the last handful of years, but I had over $1 million in just seller finance notes created through manufactured home sales. I mean, just wild how amazing this strategy allowed me to quit my full-time work and go back out on my own. That one strategy, and I still do it because it works so well. Okay. And this is the buyer of that house right there. His name's Richard. Such a cool guy. He was a truck driver, and he never owned his own house ever his entire life. He's like in his late 60s. He's a truck driver. He's like, I just want to have my own place I can call my own. I've never qualified for a house before. So for me to give him the opportunity to own his house free and clear within 3 years, he loved the idea. All he needed was $1,000, a good job, and he was in the house. So before I bought this house, I first found the buyer. Okay. I committed the buyer to buying it. And then I went back to the seller and said, hey, let's renegotiate. Tell me what you really want. I ended up buying a Ford Escort car for the seller. I traded the title for the Ford Escort for the title of this house. And then I traded the title of this house to Richard for $1,000 cash and his first month of payment when he went in. And he paid me for the first 3 years. He bought his house and away we went. I mean, I'm like, crap, this actually worked. And we did hundreds of them since. So this is literally where I started to build our business and our company. So going back to that manufactured home we were talking about earlier, okay? The one that I got, that double wide that has that hoarder house with all that stuff in it, this is literally the purchase contract a month ago, almost a month in 2 days. You can see right here, there's the home. What does that purchase price say? It says $0. I got that house for free. So I couldn't complain on how much stuff was in there and how much work it needed, right? Because I literally got it for free. The seller understood that the home was in such bad shape, it needed so much work in it, that they're like, hey, we just need out of this problem so we can move on with our lives. And you now handle the problem, Mike. This is your problem, not ours. And they were glad. They were super happy. In fact, she even gave me an awesome Google review on our Access Home Buyers, and she's like, Mike was amazing. He did everything he needed. I mean, she was a fantastic lady. So we bought it for $0, and there we go. We just sold it a week and a half ago for $12,000. So I mean, super quick. Didn't buy it. It didn't have to do anything to it. Sold it a week and a half ago for 12 grand. I mean, super, super simple. My buyer is, in fact, I just talked to the buyer on it like 2 hours ago. He's got the floor taken off, though everything's demoed. He is just cranking on it. He's doing a great job in getting it remodeled. And he had some questions for me on manufactured stuff. And, you know, I'm kind of one of the guys that know how to do these. But a quick 12 grand, that can make everyone's Christmas smile, right? Okay, so let's talk about, this is a new strategy that I am doing a lot of deals in right now. Okay. Now, there's a lot of talk, and if you haven't learned a lot about subject to or seller finance, this is kind of the new wave of what's happening right now. I saw this potential last year. In July of last year, I stopped wholesaling. And in September, I closed my doors. Access Home Buyers was no longer a wholesaling company. It now transitioned over into an acquisition company. And that's what we're doing now. This is where we transitioned into. A lot of people don't know what we are doing and how we've changed. So in the process of changing, I saw the writing on the wall that the interest rates were going to go up. We all knew that it was going to go up. You know, we had about a year of prep time 2 years ago because they had talked about it. And then it was the fall of 2010, and that next spring, or sorry, 2022, but the next spring of this year, oh, didn't we all feel it, right? Like it just stopped. The whole market just, slowed way down. And a lot of people got caught with their pants down. If you had a flip that you had too much money in and you're struggling to sell it, you're still feeling that issue. We had one flip. Luckily, we had one flip that was stuck in that. We broke even on it. I was glad to get out of it. We sold it early this spring. And but other than that, everything else we've purchased has worked really, really well. So this particular deal, I'm going to use it as an example because we just bought this home a few weeks ago, and it's a beautiful house. I don't know if you're, you know, for the people that live here in Utah, this is up in the foothill area. So it's like a really, really nice area, but it's not just the foothill area. It's in the neighborhood of the country club, which is just north of the I-80 freeway in this little pocket area that has this prestige, right? Everyone wants to, if you're going to live in Foothill, you want to live near the country club. That's where this house is. We got an incredible opportunity. I'm going to show you exactly how we found it, exactly how we put it together. And truthfully, this was a kind of a crazy deal. It was really tough. So what we're focusing a lot on right now, subject twos, but primarily with pre-foreclosures, okay? Now, if you're not familiar with what pre-foreclosure is the property is, you know, the homeowners have missed payments generally for about 3 to 4 months. And then the bank says, hey, we're done with this. We're going to do what's called a notice of default. We're not talking to people at that point because they usually have a lot of opportunity to be able to fix their issues and get it taken care of. This house was 3 days out from auction. That's when we're getting these deals, and we're getting quite a few of them. So what we're doing is we've partnered with other people that are out there doing the hustling, doing the work. that are bringing these deals to us. We've got a couple of people out there that are doing it, and I tell you what, they are amazing. So one of the biggest successes that I've learned in this business is to partner with people. Don't be hesitant to utilize other people's talents, other people's time, other people's expertise, because I can't tell you enough. We pay a lot of money to get these deals, but the potential of these deals are worth way more than what we pay for them. So utilize other people. Partnerships are key to the success of this business for sure. Okay. So we got this home at a pre-foreclosure. Okay. 3 days before auction, the seller's like, I'm out of options. I can't do anything. I want to stay in this house. So we are offering to homeowners to stay in the home. And in fact, we've bought dozens and dozens of these in the last few years this exact way. And truthfully, I'm being 100% honest. We're doing our first eviction on dozens of homes in the last few years. Right now, out of all the homes we purchased, only one eviction is happening literally this month. And so far, our track record of these homeowners, yeah, they haven't made their payments on their mortgage, but for some reason, when they transition over into a landlord-tenant situation, they pay their rent. It's amazing. They've all paid their rent, and the majority of them on time. A few of them there are late here and there, but like the majority of them are on time. We've got a really good management process. I've been honing it in, right? We've been doing this a long time. So we self-manage most of our properties. I do have a property manager for one of my companies, but we self-manage most of them, and we've got a system. We've got people. We've got a team in place that handles literally 95% of all the work. I have to touch it a little bit once a month, and that's it. And so they literally just create a cash flow. And so this particular property is a long-term rental. I'm going to show you the exact contracts and addendums that we used. Okay. Now, this contract was set up by the wholesaler that we purchased the property. This is a partner that we partnered with. And you can see the date on there, November 8th. So this is literally a month ago that we put this deal together. Okay, now I took out some details, obviously, because of, I don't know where this information is going to go. But what I wanted you to see are the details of how we put this deal together. Okay, that's the important part, so that you can understand the addendum is the most important part of this contract. The contract's important, but the addendum is where all of the subject to language is, here's what the seller's expecting, here's what we're expecting. I don't use a seller finance agreement. I don't use a seller finance contract, nothing like that. I just put all of the details in an addendum of what we need, and then also what they would like to request out of this, so that it's a mutual agreement. And generally what happens in this partnership, right? Somebody else is getting this contract for us. This contract is moldable, okay? When we get the deal, what we do is I look over the contract and I say, okay, I like this, I like this. We've got to have the seller do this. We've got to have the seller do this. We can make this work if we can do this. And then the seller comes back and says, hey, we'll push and pull a little bit. So that's why we have addendum number 2, right? Addendum number 2 now tells us, hey, this is where our give and take went to. Okay, originally this contract said the rental amount was going to be $3,200 a month. After I looked at this deal, it didn't cash flow. I'm like, I can't make this work. So I looked at local rental comps, and I spent some time. Like, this deal took me 3 hours to analyze and to understand how to make this one work. And so I looked at other rental comps, and I'm like, hey, in the area, remember, we're near a country club. Like, this is a nice area. Rents are like at $3,600 a month. And so I said, hey, I'm sorry, we can't make it work at the 32, but we can make it work at the 36. It actually took the seller like an hour. He's like, I don't want to do that, because that means I'm going to be obligated to pay that. And but after he realized, right, he's 3 days from auction, he's like, I got to do this, or else I'm going to have to be moved out. There's no other option I got. So reluctantly, he said that. But I'm going to tell you this, at the closing table, I've never had this experience before. At the closing table, this gentleman that we're the owner of the property. He is now a tenant of the property. He literally cried on our shoulders, cried because of the pressure and the difficult situation that he was in for so long. And he asked us, he said, "Is it over?" And we said, "My friend, you're done. You don't have to worry about the bank. You don't have to worry about the house. You don't have to worry about anything anymore. It is over." And he literally was crying on our shoulders. That's the type of impact we're making in people's lives when we take them out of a really tough, stressful situation and literally use a little bit of money to solve the problem, and then have some knowledge right on the back end of how to make it a successful deal. That's how real estate, can influence other people and their lives. We did give the seller some money down. He wanted $150,000 out of this house. We said, we can't do that up front, but we'll give you 50 now. We'll give you 50 in 6 months and 50 in a year. So this deal does cost a little bit of money. Okay, I'm going to go to the next screen here. Okay, these are our actual numbers. I literally just took a screenshot of my spreadsheet, so you can see here that these are the actual numbers. We bought this house. The first mortgage is $172,000. We took over that mortgage. Now, can you get a mortgage today at 5.375%? You can't go to the bank and borrow that kind of money today. You can't. Now, could we 2 years from now? I don't know. People are talking about it, but I don't know, right? Last year, you definitely couldn't, right? So it's to take the opportunities to get deals at lower rates. Our best deal that we just bought, it was a triplex about 2.5 months ago, 3 months ago now maybe. We got a VA loan. It was at 2.75% on a triplex. Oh, it was awesome. Like, there's just so many cool things about subject to and taking over people's mortgages. And so these opportunities are out there, you guys. We just have to be ready and seize the moment when it comes.
Hey, Mike, we got a question that's come in on the chat. So Mark asked, how did you approach this person about the subject to? I think you might be talking about the previous deal you were talking about. And what was the seller's motivation?
Yeah, so seller's motivation, right? He's losing his
Losing
house.
The house, right?
Right. This is a pre-foreclosure situation. Okay. So we've stopped dozens and dozens of auctions, and our closest one we just bought about 3 weeks ago, just in November, just a few weeks ago, down in Springville. It literally was, we gave the check. I was with the seller and the wholesaler that we bought it from. And so the husband and wife, the wholesaler, myself at Halliday Walk-ins downtown, giving them a check at 9 o'clock in the morning, and the auction was at 10 o'clock. Like, you can't get any closer than that. I mean, it was so crazy. So some of these get down to the wire, and you're like, I don't know if we can actually get this one done, but we'll try. Let's try. So this one was almost that close, but we had about 24 hours or so, a little less than 24 hours before the actual auction, but it was very close. So to answer the other question was, I apologize. What was the other question, Mitch?
The question is, how did you approach the person?
Oh, the approach. Yes. Thank you. So remember, I'm working with this partner, right? They're a wholesaler. They're out there, pounding the payment, finding these deals, and then I'm paying them a lot of money. If you see right here, I paid the wholesaler. I paid the wholesaler $20,000 to get this opportunity. So we're paying some serious cash to get access to these deals. Okay, but I've trained this wholesaler to talk in a certain way, to approach in a certain way, to be able to get the seller to be willing to consider this as an offer. So we offer two options: a cash option and a seller finance option. Now, sometimes the deal isn't worth a cash option. Actually, in fact, a lot of these aren't worth a cash option. And the seller finance option is really the best option. And here's why. If we were to pay cash for these houses, I have to have them move out. There's no chance that I can't hold on to them, right? Because I can't go to a bank and lend at 5 3/8% right now, right? So I have to have them move out. So the majority of these homeowners are wanting to stay in the home rather than move out. And that's what other investors are doing, is they're saying, hey, we got to buy this house, but I need you to move out. And they're not getting as many deals as we are. We're getting these deals because we're allowing the homeowners to stay in the home. I'm not pre-qualifying them. I'm not checking their income. I trust that they have a job. I trust that they can make the payments. And if they don't, it's very clear at the closing table that they will get evicted and they're going to get kicked out if they don't make their payments for the rent, right? It's very clear. So, and I'll tell you the reason why we're willing to take this risk. Okay, and we'll talk about it in just a second. But let me go through these numbers here real quick. So we took over a first, we took over a second. Now the second's not that great of a loan, but it was part of the deal, and that's what sometimes you just have to take it over. Take them as they come. They owed $30,000 to the bank. You see that number, the 3135? That right there is what's called a reinstatement. That reinstatement comes from the trustee. The trustee is the attorney that is hired to do the foreclosure. Okay, so the reinstatement ultimately comes from the lender, but the trustee gives you that document and says, here, if you guys pay this amount, we'll keep that loan current and we'll keep it up to date, and you can now continue to service that loan. Sweet. That's the number I'm mostly interested in. What is the reinstatement amount? That's it. Oh, geez. Seller wanted $50,000, had a little bit of closing costs. Their judgment. What was that? I'm trying to remember what that was. I don't remember what that was.
I know the feeling, man. You get to do so many deals, all the numbers start running together in your head anyway. I totally know that feeling.
I don't even remember what that was. Let's see. Sometimes I write it here. No, I don't know. I'll probably think of it. But anyways, so we had to come to closing with some cash right here. Cash needed for this deal is $203,000. Guys, I don't want to put $203,000 of my own cash into one deal. That's a lot of money. Okay. So what's important about this business, and when I told you guys the success of this business is to partner. I partnered with the person to find it. I partnered with somebody on the back end to put the cash up. Just like that. So now I don't own 100% of this property, but I own 50% of it. So I put in zero of my money. Partner put in 100% of their money. 100%. Literally, I don't have a dollar into this thing right now. And I own 50% of this property. And I'm going to show you the equity that we gained. This property literally will appraise today at $695,000. So we bought it for $400 or $500, and it literally will sell for, if we just listed it today, for $695 easy. That was conservative. If we fixed it up, it would easily be worth $1 to $1.2 million. But there are home sales up at the $1.6 million. Remember, this is by a country club. It's an old 1950s house, but this area is so prestigious. People love and are willing to pay a premium for these homes. So guys, this was a no-brainer to be able to take the equity that was available, as well as no cash out of my pocket. My company just took home about $100,000 in equity, and I put $0 of my own money into this deal. Crazy.
Okay, we got a few questions. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, let me just finish up this deal, then we'll open up the questions. These are good questions. So the cash flow on this, you can see I've got my little calculator here, based upon their actual mortgage, and they have their rental amount, $3,600 a month. We're cash flowing about $700 a month. I mean, you get huge equity, great cash flow, in a market that's difficult to get cash flow, and I put $0 out of my pocket. Like,
That's
it's
pretty dope.
crazy.
That's
Yeah,
really cool.
pretty cool. This was a fun one to put together. All right, question. Yes.
So, the case in point, educated investor, right? And that's why we're all here. I love it. So, we've got a few questions here. So, Connor asked, are you coming out of pocket with the 50K up front and every 6 months until it's paid off, or is the investors? If investors, are you paying them an interest rate or making them an equity partner?
Great question. Great question. Yes. So yes and yes. So my investor is bringing the additional 100,000 over the next year. I'm not bringing that money. That was a pre-arranged agreement I made with my investing partner, okay, to put the money into this deal. My investing partner owns the other 50% of this deal, and I also pay them a 5.5% return on their money. So their money invested gets a return, so it's not just used money without any return. And then they also get 50%. So truthfully, they're getting a very, very good deal because their net return is huge, right? Because they just gained 100,000 equity. Okay. They bring a lot to the partnership because it allows me to get into a lot of deals. But I bring a lot to the partnership because I'm the one that's on the back end doing the management. So I have the management team. I have people behind me that handle all of this stuff. And I honestly, I could not do any of this without my team. My team is amazing. They do so much work that I don't have to do, and I love it. So hopefully that answers your questions, but that's basically how I structure these deals. I pay them a return for their money, as well as they get 50% of these deals.
And then Tamara and Kevin asked, how long do you give them if they don't make their payments before you evict them?
Yeah, that's great. That's a management question. So so at closing, we've now gotten to the point where I literally do a voice recording of our entire closing. Okay, I used to not, but we just switched this year to doing all of our closings with a voice recording because we've had tenants come back and say, hey, that wasn't the deal that we put together. Here's an email. Here's the closing, right? Just as a reminder, here's what our contract says, right? So we make sure it's very, very
Smart.
clear, because you get into these situations and these people will start claiming poverty. They'll claim whatever and say, you took advantage of me. And in all reality, here's the evidence that's saying, no, you were in a tough situation and you had but you took the worst of two evils, right? That's all it was, is you either get kicked out of your house and lose everything, or you get to stay in your home. You still got some money out of the property, but not as much, right? You're in a tough spot. So we're helping you as much as we're able to, and you understood that we're an investing company. We're here to make a profit. And all of that is explained at closing. But I don't meet these people until closing. And I'm the one that handles the closing, so I can explain and go through all of this. I go through all the paperwork. I understand, they are very clear. They understand they're keeping the mortgages in place. So to answer your question is at the closing table and in the documents, right, the paperwork that we put together, it's 30 days. If they do not make their payment within 30 days, no ifs, ands, or buts, they are getting evicted no matter what. But we are very flexible. I've learned that flexibility is important to a certain point. I've got a management process where certain things happen every single day of the month that if they don't do things on this day, my management team has to do this. If they don't do this by this certain date, my management team has to do this. So it's very, very structured on, the sixth day of the month is when everything is due. And if they haven't, automatic 3-day pay or quit. So I go out, I have a courier that goes to their house, they post it that day, every month.
Mike,
So we do anywhere from 2 to 3 a month.
I want to dig into that a little bit further. This question's coming from me and, probably reaching into the closet and pulling out some bones, which I know every real estate investor loves. So let's talk. First off, have you, just a yes or no question, have you had a situation where someone needed to get evicted after in this scenario?
So we're literally doing our first one right now after 3 years of buying them this way. So
How do you mitigate retribution? So they're getting evicted, but it's their mortgage that's on your property. How would you how I mean, maybe maybe the experience isn't there yet, but how do you mitigate retribution? I mean, they could make it difficult for you if I guess if they wanted to.
they could call up the lender and say, hey, I sold my house. This guy actually doesn't, he owns the house, but it's my mortgage. You could execute your what's called a due on sell clause, right? You got to make sure you understand the paperwork of trust deeds and stuff like that. There's a due on sell clause, absolutely. So we take that risk if that due on sell clause is utilized. I've never had one utilized. In fact, I talked to a bank 2 months ago, maybe, that called me up and said, hey, I understand you own the property now, but the mortgage is in this person's name. What should we do about this? And they're calling me like, what should we do? Like,
Do
you getting
nothing.
the payments on time.
Accept my payments.
We're a reputable company. We're here. We're just helping out this homeowner that was in a tough situation. We're a partnership in a way, a long-term relationship with this homeowner. And they're like, oh, okay. And they literally said, all right, keep up the good work. Close the deal.
Love it. That's awesome.
That's literally what happened. So I've never had one. Now there is one here in Utah. You have to be very careful. I structure my deals very, very differently. There is one here in Utah called
America First.
No, actually, I've had America First keep them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've talked with America First. I've had them keep them.
You're a talented man.
Utah Housing. They're the only ones that will call the loan due that I have had experience with. I know other investors that have had them called due. So I currently own 4, maybe 5 of them right now that I've owned for a handful of years. And as we structure them very, very differently, that's a whole different conversation. But there's ways to be able to make it so it works. It works for us. It works for them. So, boy, it's almost 8 o'clock, and this is the first property. This is the second property. Let me show you this one. Okay, this one's another one. We literally just bought this one, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. This one's out in West Valley. Good looking house, right? The interior is just as nice. Like, you don't have to buy just junk houses all the time. Buy some nice houses. It's refreshing. You don't have to do as much remodel. It's great. I love it. This is a beautiful home, and the family is still living in the home. But what I learned in this business is you've got to be flexible. You've got to learn that the sellers aren't always going to be willing to take that deal where they become a landlord-tenant situation. So we learned a method and literally just this year, we just transitioned to doing this more often because this is a pretty sweet way to buy. I'm going to show you the detail. You guys ready for this? Okay, so what we did is we bought this house. Here's the same spreadsheet, right? Just copy and paste. It's easy to do, right? And then just change the numbers. So the analysis gets a lot quicker. We took over this mortgage. Oh, geez, I keep pushing the button. Look at that mortgage. 2.5% mortgage. Isn't that awesome? Where can you get a loan like that nowadays? So we took over their financing, but here's what I learned is the seller really pushed back when we said, hey, we're going to buy your house and you now become a tenant. Oh, the seller's like, oh, I don't want to do that. This is my house. I'm not going to do that at all. So we said, okay, let's flex a little bit. We saw this deal. We're like, all right, we still want to buy it. How can we make this work? So what we ended up doing is we ended up doing a loan with an option to buy. Okay. So what we did is we structured a loan with the homeowner. And if they don't pay us back on the loan, we now go to a landlord-tenant situation. And it automatically reverts in 24 months. No questions asked. Okay. And the way that it changes is with this document right here. This is essentially a lending document that we lent money from a private investor to the homeowner. We lent them $54,000. Okay. Now the chances of a homeowner paying back the $54,000 plus interest. Now we're charging 20% interest on this. So we can't lose on this deal no matter what. in a great position because they have plenty of equity in the house. So if it did go to an auction, we could either buy it at the auction or it would get bid up and then we would still be paid out from the auction if it foreclosed. Or so it literally is a no lose option in this scenario. Okay. So if they don't execute their option, they're now at like $79,000 that they have to pay us back after 24 months. If they don't execute that option in 24 months, it's a landlord tenant situation. No questions asked. We own this property today. We're on title, physically on title, but they have an option contract to purchase it if they pay back the loan. Creative, right? Totally different way to do it. Okay. So now and that's why it automatically reverts to a tenant situation is if they don't pay it back, no problem. They now become a tenant. They now make their payments as there are a landlord tenant situation. And we now take over, making sure the home is maintained and all that kind of stuff, making sure, it's in good shape. We were willing to take this risk because first, we've got a 20% loan. Second, we gained $115,000 in equity in the house. Like it's today's value. Remember, this is a nice house. It's clean inside. Like the homeowner's super clean. They do a good job taking care of it. And so we could put it on the market and sell it easily right now for the $435. So, and then we have a cash flow of $460 a month. So it's not huge cash flow, but it meets our minimum. So win, right? Because we get a 20% loan off of this if they decide to execute it. It's a win if they don't execute it and they go into a landlord-tenant situation and we gained $115K in equity. And it's also a win because it's now a nice rental, cash flowing at a 2.5% interest rate. Like crazy. So these are just some things that we've been learning and changing as the market has changed. Because I was buying seller finance stuff 15 years ago. But truthfully, it's very different now than it was back then. I used to be able to pick up seller finance stuff for $0 down. You can't do it nowadays. Most homeowners are taking advantage of the whole COVID relief thing. And that's why you can see this reinstatement, it's $20,000. This is like a year and a half or 2 years of mortgage payments that they haven't paid on their mortgage. And people are just behind because they took advantage of that COVID relief stuff. It literally is destroying households. The government sold it as a good thing, but people are getting destroyed because of it. It's terrible. It's terrible. But it's an opportunity for us as investors to, help out families as well as make great returns on our investments. So I'm going to show you guys real quick, fix and flip. I didn't really want to spend a ton of time on fix and flips, but we are still doing some. This is one that we're actively involved right now. And I wanted to show you another surprise. Another hoarder house. Like this house was crazy. We easily killed, I don't know, 150, maybe 200 mice out of this house. I unfortunately went to this house in flip-flops and I walked in the front door and I'm like, oh my gosh, the floor is moving. Just mice running everywhere. So I literally jumped on their furniture and I'm like, let me just take a look at your house on your stuff. I went downstairs and I'm just standing on all their furniture. I'm like touching the ceiling. I hope you don't mind, people. They were actually really nice. They understood, but it was a crazy house. But we're doing this flip right now because the numbers worked, right? So we bought it for $286. I ended up borrowing cash. I have a great relationship with a private investor that put up all the money to purchase it. I usually bring my own cash. We've gotten to the point where we could do my own cash on the rehabs. And so here are the numbers, total all investment at $358. And then here's my hard money, numbers here. We shouldn't have the deal longer than 6 months. So we, are estimating 6 months on this deal. And then, here's the selling numbers here. We should make around 70-ish thousand. We just sold a home. I'm very confident with this number because I literally just sold another house, like 3 blocks to the west. and 2 blocks to the north, very similar home, like 3 months ago. Actually, 472 is what I sold that one for. So I think we'll get close to that same price today. It's going to go on the market, in the middle of January somewhere. So we may be able to make a couple thousand more, but fix and flips are still a great business. People are worried about interest rates. People are worried about, can I sell this house? If you do a nice job on the rehab, like actually hire good contractors that do good quality work, people recognize that. We don't do top-notch rehabs. I haven't specialized in like over-the-top rehabs. We did one last year. We did well on it. But we put $150,000-$160,000 in the house, and it was a really nice place when we were done. But truthfully, I like putting in $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 into these average homes that sell under $500,000 because they move like that. People are still buying them right now because you can't find a home in these neighborhoods that are really nice. And that's what we do, is we do really nice quality rehabs that, we took this almost down to the studs in a lot of areas. We do all new electrical, all new plumbing, obviously kitchens, bathrooms, everything's new. If the roof needs to be done, we do. But yeah, this one's going to be almost a brand new home. We got all new windows. I mean, it's almost a brand new home when we're done. And so the homeowners will be super happy with getting a good quality house, and we're going to make a decent return on it, right? So this is where we're going to transition a little bit into what I wanted to talk about next. Is I'm now switching over into, not switching, but adding on to our business, because we've got really good teams. I've got awesome people that work with me. We're now switching over into a business where I can now invest in. Okay. Investing in businesses are very similar to investing in real estate. It takes capital. It takes a large learning curve. Like, I've learned how to do international shipping. I never thought I would learn how to do international shipping. We order products from Vietnam that are, manufactured over there. And, these are just things you learn. When it came to investing, guys, I was not an investor when I started. And it just takes time and mistakes and time. I mean, I told you guys my story. In 2010, I made some huge mistakes. And my wife and I couldn't make our mortgage payment. Like, this is a real story. And sometimes I still get emotional about it because it was really hard in our life. But through all the mistakes, you start learning and you start gaining confidence, and you start realizing that, hey, I could do hard things. And so now I'm investing in a business that is an idea that I created out of necessity, out of like, I can't believe there's not an option out there. So I went to Home Depot, I've looked at options, I've tried them, I've looked at Amazon, I've looked at a lot of different areas for options of how to solve this one problem. And I want to see by the raise of hands who has had this same problem, because if you've done fix and flips, I'd be very surprised if you haven't. And I'll share it with you in just a second. But because we've learned how to grow a business and how to create teamwork, how to have people working with us, and also marketing, right? Because we did that wholesaling business, we were able to do some intense marketing. We've been able to grow this business. We started sales 4 months ago. We're now up to averaging $3,500 a month. It's not a lot, but it's decent for 4 months of sales. And I've got one of my team members right now, but we're adding on a new team member here shortly to help take over some of the business. And but it's now going to be a business that will create cash so I can reinvest it into real estate. So it's just another way, another engine to be able to create cash, put it into real estate, because that's the safest investment out there. Absolutely. So this is the problem I wanted to pose to everyone. If you've done a rehab, by the raise of hands, have you ever had a bathroom or a bathtub scratched or chipped by your contractors? Anyone else? I see a few hands up. Yeah, Connor raised his hands. Guys, this is an industry-wide problem, not just for investors, I have visited professional job sites. There's one of the largest home builders here in Utah, Ivory Homes. I've been to their job sites, at a ton of their job sites. Not one bathroom has a protection system over a bathtub. You're putting a finished product in a rough environment. It's
And you
bound
have
to
to.
get
You
scratched.
have to, because you can't tile, you can't put the water board in. You have to put the tub in during the rough part of the flip, right? And I can't tell you, I mean, so frustrating. $120,000, $150,000 into a remodel, and I've got chip bathtubs in $1 million
Yep.
house, right? That are brand new that I just paid for.
Yep, you're exactly right. And that's the problem. This is literally, these are some properties, my own flips a while ago before this product existed. Literally, these are my houses that I was flipping, and this is what I saw. I'm like, this is my tile guy doing our tile job, and he protected it. But after he was done, I didn't have any chips, but there were multiple scratches in this bathtub. The one on the left, this is what you commonly see. The cutout of the cardboard box that the tub comes in goes in the bottom. But when you lift that out, you get drywall screws, you get nails, you get garbage underneath there, and people are standing on that to install the tile surround, right? Or the electrician's in there putting in the light fixture above, or the plumber standing in there getting the fixtures all finished, right? So this is a problem that I saw that I've had to replace or fix tons and tons of bathtubs in just my own business, let alone you think about Ivory Homes that's doing 1,000 to 2,000 homes a year. Like, how many are they fixing? So I talked with D.R. Horton. D.R. Horton is now utilizing our product here, and Ivory Homes just bought a couple hundred of them for a project that they've got, because they literally have budgeted repair budgets. Ivory Homes, out of 180 units, they budgeted $8,600 to just repair their tubs after they're finished. $8,600. Crazy. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? Just try this out, test it out, and see how much less you're going to be spending and how much money you're going to be saving in the long run. I mean, these are literally the scratches from those tubs. You can see that one on the right. Just nicks and scratches. You can't get those out. You have to buff them or hire a professional company to come in and refinish that tub again. On the left, there's a fiberglass insert, right? They just become the trash bin, the garbage bin. So that flip I was showing you, the one, the hoarder house, the property flip, I didn't know this, but my project manager ordered our product, put it in, and I had no idea. I went in to do an inspection on the place, and I was like, oh, wait. Hold on. Let me show you this. Let me skip this slide. I'm going to come back to this. And I walked in, and I'm like, sweet, there it is. So I'm investing in this business by creating a product that solves problems for investors, as well as large production builders, homeowners, remodelers, handyman guys. It's a simple product that has literally saved me hundreds and hundreds of dollars on each property, as well as over the lifetime of my business, flipping business, we're going to save thousands of dollars, all from a simple solution. This is one of my contractors put in the Tub Armor product. I mean, it's been awesome. I'm going to show you guys a video real quick of what the product does. It's a 30-second video, and give me your thoughts. Can you guys hear the audio? Can you hear the audio on that?
Yeah, we could.
You can. Cool.
Say goodbye to scratches, dings, and messes during any project. Tub Armor is the premium bathtub protection for any job site. Tub Armor is constructed with high-quality, rip-proof materials to protect your bathtub from accidental drops and messes. You'll also eliminate cleanup and costly repairs. Keep your tub new and scratch-free throughout any construction project. Make sure to protect your investment with Tub Armor. Tub Armor, the best protection on the planet.
What do you think?
Boom.
Pretty cool, huh?
Dude, such an amazing, and I love, like, the Steve Jobs said the the definition of genius is like taking something complicated and simplifying it down to, to its easiest form. Like, what a brilliant solution for like a terribly insidious problem for fix and flippers. That's awesome.
Terrible. And it happens. I mean, all of the people that we network with a lot of people. As you get, going with your investment business, you really get to know a lot of people. And this is the one topic that kept coming up over and over the years. And I'm like, guys, there's no solution. This is nuts. When we built that assisted living facility, we have 27 rooms in there, and literally 50% of those showers that we put in, we had to hire a company to come in and fix them after we were done. 50%. And I'm like, guys, this is crazy. There's nothing out there that solves this problem. So over the years, I've been thinking about this. So we just launched this year, and only to help, flippers, remodelers, people in this business, because, to save a few bucks is worth it in the long run for sure. So what I've done is, just for Mitch and Maeli, because they were amazing in allowing us to come on here, obviously share a few things about Tub Armor. This is our website. You can go on the website, order whatever you want, but I'm going to give an additional discount because of Mitch and Maeli. So if you look at this QR code, you can scan it. It'll go to a landing page. You'll have to send in some information. My team will actually respond and say, hey, okay, you're on the Mitch and Maeli discount, and we'll get you guys free shipping. We'll get you, using the QR code here, we'll get you a discount. If you want to give it a try and utilize the product, we use them exclusively on every deal we do now, because it has saved so much time, money, headache. It's been a pain in the butt. And we've got large production builders utilizing it now. We're now in Ace Hardware. We're now in Standard Plumbing. We're just now launching into other retail markets, because people are using it. We're selling hundreds and hundreds of these every single month. It's awesome.
Dude, Mike, this is really cool. And you're living like what I preach from the rooftops weekly, if not more often. You're living it, right? We make our money in business and we store our money in real estate, and that's exactly what you're doing. I love it. This is awesome. Thank you for sharing. And what an elegant, simple, like amazing solution for for a problem that, if anybody here has done a fix and flip before, you know exactly what we're talking about. It's crazy. So thank you for sharing that, guys. Let's show Mike some love. Like, if this is going to be a useful thing for you, take a screenshot of this slide. We'll have Mike leave it up for a little bit. We're going to jump into some questions and answers, but go ahead and take advantage of the discount that he's offering you by being here today. And even if you're like, hey, I'm not there right now, but one day I'm going to be in some fix and flips, like, I promise you, this will be worth the time of taking a screenshot. So grab that, save it, and we got about 15 minutes left before we're out of time. And guys, this time
I'm happy to go over any of the deals, the scenarios, whatever would help you guys out to help you get into your next deal. Absolutely, I'm an open book.
We got a few questions from, and by the way, Mike, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and expertise with us today. Awesome. I mean, I learned a ton of stuff. So, and that's what I love about hanging out with other real estate investors, is there's always something new to learn. There's something that somebody is doing that you're like, dude, I can take and I tweak what I'm doing. I think for me tonight, one of the big takeaways was how you get to help people stay in the properties. Like, I was always one of those guys that was like, no, get out. You can't pay. Get out, right?
Yeah.
But what a cool solution to give them a second chance, and that's exactly what it is, right? Is a second opportunity to renew their ability to stay in their home. Obviously with if they continue to not pay, that's fine, but it totally makes sense to me. I love that. Very cool.
Yeah, I was really reluctant when we started allowing the homeowners, because I used to kick everyone out. Every time we bought a pre-foreclosure, it was no question, right? Because that's what I was taught by other investors. That's what they did, right? So it was passed down through, I don't know, generational or whatever. But I'm like, you know what? These people are good people. They have good jobs. Like, they could make the payments work. So we just started giving it a try. I don't know any other investor that's doing this. and we've been very, very successful with it. I mean, very successful with it.
That's cool. I love that. And I think I'm going to start giving it a try now that now that you planted the seed. I love it. Well, let's prime the pump with some questions from the chat because it's been blowing up a little bit. So, questions from CT asked a couple of questions. He said, is there ever a situation? I think he's referring to the subject to properties where you would do like a lease option on the deal versus a subject to, and then kind of as an addendum to that, I think you already answered this question from someone else, but let's see. Oh, do you use an equity partner sharing agreement? So like an equity partner, is it an equity partner relationship with your investor, or is it more of a debt relationship?
So great question. And getting started with this is always the hardest thing because you don't know what you don't know, right? That's always the hardest thing. So the very, very first deal you do with any new potential partner is you never start a business, ever. Like, it's crazy. Don't ever get married with somebody that you're not happy with. You don't know you're not happy with until you get into a deal. So do a joint venture relationship first on your first deal, and then wait a little while, see what happens, right? You want to get that other partner in a tough, precarious situation and say, hey, how would you handle that? Or you want to put that partner into, oh, hey, we need some money for this property. See how they handle that, right? Don't get into bed with this person in an LLC relationship that you're now married to and you put multiple properties into. Definitely don't do that, okay? That would be my recommendation. I'm not an attorney. You cannot take my advice in that. But through experience and through relationships, I would always recommend always doing a joint venture on your first deal, second deal, third deal. And if you're not familiar with the joint venture, you can have an attorney draft. There are some local attorneys here in Utah that a lot of investors use to draft out a joint venture agreement, which is literally just a one-time deal. And when that deal is done, the marriage is broken. Like, there's no questions about it. So it's so much simpler. But after you like the relationship with an investor and you're like, hey, this worked. This investor that bought actually these two deals with me, we did our first deal 3 years ago, 4 years ago maybe. I don't remember the date of our first deal, but we did it years ago, and we waited like a year and a half before we did our next deal because I wanted to see how this investor was going to work with me in this deal. And it's worked out very well. We still own that first property, and we haven't sold a single, we sold one property this year. But out of all the deals we've done, we've never sold them because our investment goal as a partnership, we've now formed an LLC, and we're now married together as a business. And but our ultimate goal is to create a portfolio. That's our goal with this. Hopefully that answers your question. That was a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I love it. Okay, Mark asked, there's more chats coming in, so I keep losing my spot. Mark asked, is your exit strategy, so on the flip, is your exit strategy the same as before to convert it to a long-term rental? So if the market tanks and you're upside down, what are you going to do with your flip?
Yeah, if the market tanked on that, we would have to convert it into a rental because I have a hard money loan on the first. On that, I've got my own cash as a rehab. He's talking about this property here, right?
Mm-hmm. I believe so. Is that correct, Mark? On this property? I believe so, yeah.
I mean, yeah, backup plan, we would have to convert it over into a sell scenario because I couldn't rent this property and get enough cash flow to make my payments on my hard money loan plus my money in return. I couldn't make that work. So either I would have to get a bank loan to pull out as much as I could out of it to pay off the hard money as much as I could. That's a scenario that's still viable, right? Interest rates are higher, but not as high as my investment loan, hard money loan. And then the other option would be is I'm doing one of these right now. This on a deal we just bought in Springville a couple weeks ago, and the subject to amount is literally right at the same price as a rental amount. And I've encountered this scenario a few times. And so I always go to another solution is you buy it on a subject to, you sell it on a subject to, and you sell it on a contract. And I've done that, quite a few times. With
Sandwich.
manufactured homes, I've done it 150 times. But on single family homes, we're doing more and more of it, because on a seller finance retail house, you can ask for way more because you're now asking what bank rates are. So we just bought that one. I want to say the mortgage payment's around $1,900 a month, and in that area in Springville, the rental rate's $1,850 a month. Like, I couldn't cash flow on that thing, so it doesn't make sense to dump some money into it and not cash flow, potentially even negative cash flow, because I got to pay my team to manage it. So we're going to sell it. That's the exit strategy on that particular deal. Is we're going to sell that on a seller finance. I can ask $2,600 a month on the seller finance and a higher interest rate for a longer period of time. So that's the exit strategy we're planning on doing. I mean, originate a 40-year mortgage with the new buyer at a higher payment than what I'm paying. I'm now going to cash flow $600 to $700 a month, and I'm going to now have a long-term cash flow forever that I don't have to manage. And we've done lots of these.
Love it. An amazing strategy. And I think the strategy to be doing in this market. So that's awesome.
This is the market to take advantage of these types of deals, for sure. Yep.
So Eric asked, I can answer this one. Eric asked, I missed the beginning. Was this recorded? All of these Mitch and Maeli lives were recorded on our YouTube channel, Flipping with Mitch and Maeli. Once you get to the channel, if you have to click the subscribe button first. No, just kidding. You can get to it without subscribing, but please do. Click the live tab, and it'll be the first. It's always the most recent one. It's listed newest to oldest. So it'll be the first one on the tab. It says featuring Mike Kessler. Okay, next question. Mark asks in regards to tub armor, how many times can you reuse this product? Is it similar to a tarp?
Yeah, it's similar to a tarp. It's a woven polyethylene fabric. Tarps are a polypropylene. It's a different type of plastic. I never thought I would get into plastics. Didn't it ever occur to me? But I did a lot of trials. I did a lot of tests before we actually rolled out the final product. And I got feedback. I ended up installing 50 of these products, and I got feedback from contractors, professional investors, from large-scale builders, and getting the feedback and found out this is the right material. To be able to make this product, I wanted to make it portable. The products you buy at Home Depot, they're a little bit cheaper, but they're the size of a tub, and they break. They don't work. No one uses them, and they're crazy. I don't even know why Home Depot carries them. But to answer your question is, can I reuse it? This plastic, I want you to, if you get one, I want you to try to rip it. If you can rip it with your hands like this, I literally will give you 10 more of them. You can't rip it. It is so strong. This plastic is crazy strong, and it's lightweight, super lightweight. So you can reuse this stuff over and over and over. In fact, I sell on our website, we call it the reuse kit. I personally use on my own flips that my contractor doesn't buy. I didn't know that they bought them. But I have mine that I reuse over and over. And I just use a new roll of tape and I put it in. It does have a foam base layer so that you can still step in it, and you can and then there's a foam layer on the sidewall of the tub. So you can still stand, you can work in the tub, just like all your contractors normally do. It's not going to slow them down one bit, and you can reuse the product. Yeah, it's awesome.
Love it.
Good question.
Alrighty, Connor asks, first off, he says, thank you, so appreciated. I definitely learned some new things. If you're giving your equity share to the investor and paying them an interest rate of 5%, when are you paying the interest? Monthly, yearly, or deducted from the equity share at the end? With your example, I think your investors gave $200,000 at 5% interest. How much do you structure your lender/partner payments so that you still cash flow every month? Hope this makes sense.
Yeah, correct. This one's an interesting deal. So that one in the Foothill property is what you're referring to. So because I paid the investor on the back end an additional return on their money, some of our deals come out a little bit slim for a few years. Now I've been renting properties. My very first property I ever bought was a rental. So I've been renting properties for almost 20 years. And I've gone through one big cycle. We're kind of in our second big cycle right now in real estate. In the first cycle, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. Like, I was playing, I was learning as much as I could. I literally had stacks of books, just trying to learn as much as I could. YouTube University wasn't really out when I was learning, so it was just books. Like, I read books like crazy. And excuse me. And but one thing that I have always watched are the rental rates, at least in my market here. Our market, whoever else is here in Utah, is back in 2008, I had multiple rentals. Not one time did I ever have to reduce my rental rates. Only have I ever seen rents go up. So some of our deals are a little bit lean on the cash flow, which this is one of them. Our cash flow is going to be super lean. Like, we're not going to really make hardly any money. After paying my investor on this deal, rents are only going to go up. So our plan is a long-term hold, and rents will go up to $4,000, $4,500 in the next 5 to 10 years. Now we're cash flowing like crazy. We're paying down the equity. I'm getting a property depreciation over the entire period of time. So there are other benefits that we're gaining through a lean deal. Not every deal is like that. We have a lot of deals that are even after paying the investor, we're still cash flowing $400 or $500 a month.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Mike, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for coming on. This has been awesome. And you know what? I think I learned a ton. I know, I'm sure everybody else learned a ton, and just so grateful to have you here. So,
you're welcome. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would love to have you back. So let's get together and let's find a time, maybe after the new year, that we can have you back and share more amazing insights with us. Guys, we're heading into the holiday season. Remember that we're going to be taking the 27th off, but we are here every week at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Same link if you want to join the Zoom call. It's www.mitchandmaelilive.com. Or you can join us on the YouTube channel under the live tab. We live stream this simultaneously with the call, and then it's available as a recording for you guys afterwards. So with that said, we're going to be back next week with some awesome content. And Mike, can't thank you enough, man. It's been awesome. Guys,
welcome. Glad to share.
Guys, stay hungry, stay healthy, get out there and do some real estate. Thank you all for coming. We'll see you next week. Talk to you soon.